Single dad pulled a drowning billionaire CEO from a sinking jet in the middle of a quiet lake. He disappeared before anyone could thank him. The next morning, 3 black Cadillacs arrived at his cabin. What she offered him changed everything, but not in the way anyone expected. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. Tom Parker sat in his old fishing boat on Clear Lake. The sun was warm on his face. The water was so clear he could see fish swimming below. His son Jake, who was 8 years old, sat on the wooden dock with a comic book. "Dad, can we get ice cream later?" Jake called out. "Sure, buddy," Tom said with a smile. Life was simple now. Tom worked as a mechanic in the small town nearby. He fixed cars and trucks for people. The pay was not great, but it was enough. After his wife died 3 years ago, he had moved here with Jake. They lived in a small house by the lake. It was peaceful. Suddenly, a loud noise filled the sky. Tom looked up and saw a small jet plane. Black smoke was coming from it. The plane was falling fast. "Jake, get back!" Tom shouted. The plane hit the water about 150 yards away. Water splashed high into the air. Tom did not think. He jumped into the lake and swam as fast as he could. The plane was sinking quickly. Tom dove under the water. His lungs burned. He could see someone inside the cockpit. A woman was trying to get out, but her seatbelt was stuck. Tom pulled at the broken window. The glass cut his hand, but he kept pulling. Finally, he got the woman free. He grabbed her and pulled her to the surface. They both gasped for air. Tom swam back to shore with the woman. Jake ran down from the dock. "Dad! Is she okay?" The woman coughed hard. Water came out of her mouth. Then she started breathing normally. Tom laid her on the grass. Her eyes opened. "You saved me," she whispered. "Just rest," Tom said. "Help is coming." He could hear sirens in the distance. Someone must have called 911. Within minutes, ambulances and police cars arrived. Paramedics took the woman away on a stretcher. A police officer asked Tom questions. Tom told him what happened. Then Tom and Jake went home. Tom's hands were shaking. He had never done anything like that before. "Dad, you're a hero," Jake said that night at dinner. Tom shook his head. "I just did what anyone would do." But Jake was proud. Tom could see it in his eyes. The next morning, Tom was making breakfast. Jake was eating cereal at the kitchen table. The small TV in the corner was on. "Breaking news," the reporter said. Billionaire CEO Sarah Mitchell survived a plane crash yesterday. She was rescued by a local man. Tom stopped pouring coffee. He looked at the TV. There was a photo of the woman he had saved. She was wearing a business suit in the picture. The reporter said she was the CEO of Mitchell Technologies, a huge company. "Dad, that's her," Jake said, pointing at the TV. Tom turned off the TV. He did not want to think about it. He had saved someone's life. That was enough. He did not need thanks or attention. But an hour later, he heard cars coming up the road. Tom looked out the window. 3 black Cadillacs were driving toward his house. They were shiny and expensive looking. "Jake, stay inside," Tom said. He walked outside. The cars stopped in front of his house. Men in dark suits got out. Then the woman from yesterday stepped out of the middle car. She was wearing a gray business suit now. A small bandage was on her forehead. Sarah Mitchell walked up to Tom. She smiled and held out her hand. "Mr. Parker, I'm Sarah Mitchell. You saved my life yesterday." Tom shook her hand. "I'm glad you're okay." "I wanted to thank you in person," Sarah said. What you did was incredibly brave. One of the men in suits stepped forward. He was carrying a briefcase. Ms. Mitchell would like to offer you a reward for your heroism, the man said. He opened the briefcase. Inside were stacks of money. Tom could see they were $100 bills. There's $50,000 here, the man said. We also have some paperwork for you to sign. Just a standard agreement. Tom looked at the money. Then he looked at the papers. He saw words like non-disclosure and legal release. What kind of agreement? Tom asked. Just standard procedure, the man said quickly. It protects both parties. You agree not to talk to the media about the incident, and we provide compensation. Tom felt something twist in his stomach. He had seen papers like this before. Years ago, at his old job. I don't want your money, Tom said. And I'm not signing anything. Sarah looked surprised. Mr. Parker, we're just trying to show our appreciation. I appreciate that, Tom said. But I don't need to be paid for doing the right thing. And I don't sign papers that tell me to keep quiet. The man in the suit frowned. Mr. Parker, this is a generous offer. I said no, Tom interrupted. Thank you for coming, but you should go now. Sarah studied Tom's face for a long moment. She seemed to be thinking about something. May I ask you a question, she said. Have we met before? No, Tom said. You seem familiar somehow, Sarah said slowly. She looked past Tom at his house. Through the window, she could see inside. There were books on a shelf. And on the wall, there was a framed certificate. Sarah walked closer. She could read the certificate now. It said, Thomas Parker, Senior Engineer, Mitchell Technologies, 2015 to 2018. Sarah's face went pale. She turned back to Tom. You worked for my company, she said quietly. Tom said nothing. Why did you leave? Sarah asked. Tom's jaw tightened. You should ask your father that question. Sarah looked confused. My father retired 5 years ago. He doesn't run the company anymore. I know, Tom said. I was there when he chose profits over safety. When he ignored warnings that could have saved lives. The men in suits looked uncomfortable. One of them stepped forward. Ms. Mitchell, perhaps we should. Wait, Sarah said, holding up her hand. She looked at Tom. What are you talking about? Tom took a breath. 4 years ago, I was a senior engineer at your company. I found a problem with one of the drone systems we were building. A serious problem. The battery cooling system would fail under certain conditions. I wrote reports. I sent emails. I warned everyone who would listen. What happened? Sarah asked. Your father buried it, Tom said. He said fixing it would delay production by 6 months. He said we would lose contracts. So he pushed it through anyway. Sarah's hands were shaking now. And then? 6 months later, one of those drones was being tested, Tom said. His voice was flat, emotionless. It was a demonstration for military buyers. My wife was there with other engineers' families. They were watching from an observation building. Tom stopped. He could not say the next part. The battery exploded, he continued quietly. The drone crashed into the building. 3 people died. One of them was my wife, Lisa. Sarah put her hand over her mouth. Oh my God. Your father paid settlements to the families, Tom said. He made us all sign agreements saying we would never talk about it. He called it a tragic accident. But it wasn't an accident. It was negligence. I didn't know, Sarah whispered. I was working in the European division then. I never saw those reports. Maybe you should have, Tom said. You're the CEO now. Sarah looked like she might cry. She turned to her assistants. "Give us a moment," she said. The men in suits went back to the cars. Sarah and Tom stood alone. "Mr. Parker." "Tom," Sarah said. "I am so sorry. I don't know what to say." "There's nothing to say," Tom replied. "It's done. I moved on. I built a new life here with my son." "But you saved my life," Sarah said. "Even after what my family did to you." "Why?" Tom looked at her. "Because I'm not like your father. I don't let people die when I can save them." Sarah nodded slowly. Tears were running down her face now. "What was in that plane crash yesterday?" Tom asked. "Why did your jet go down?" Sarah wiped her eyes. "We don't know yet. The FAA is investigating." "But..." She hesitated. "There were some unusual readings before the crash. The investigators think someone might have tampered with the hydraulic systems." Tom felt cold. "Hydraulic systems?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because that's exactly what I warned about 4 years ago," Tom said. "Not in drones. In your company's small aircraft division. I told them the same hydraulic design was being used across multiple platforms. If there was a flaw, it would affect everything." Sarah stared at him. "You think this crash is related?" "I don't know," Tom said. "But you should look into it." Sarah pulled out her phone. She made a call. "David, I need you to pull all safety reports from 2018 to 2019. Everything related to hydraulic systems. I want names of every engineer who filed warnings." "Yes, now." She hung up and looked at Tom. "Will you help me?" she asked. "Please. If there's a connection, I need to know. More people could die." Tom thought about it. He looked back at his house. Jake was watching from the window. "I have a son to take care of," Tom said. "I can't get involved in corporate investigations." "I understand," Sarah said. "But just look at some files. That's all I'm asking. If you see something, tell me. If you don't, I'll leave you alone." Tom was quiet for a long time. "Okay," he finally said. "I'll look. But I'm not signing anything. And I'm not taking money." "Deal," Sarah said. 3 days later, Sarah came back. This time she was alone. She was driving a normal car, not a Cadillac. She was wearing jeans and a sweater. Tom let her inside. Jake was at school. Sarah put a laptop on Tom's kitchen table and opened it. "I found your old reports," she said. "All of them. And I found something else." She showed Tom the screen. There were dozens of emails. Reports. Technical documents. All marked, confidential. Tom read through them. His face grew dark. "This is worse than I thought," he said. The documents showed that the hydraulic problem Tom had warned about was never fixed. Instead, someone had altered the test results to make it look like everything was safe. That someone was Sarah's father, along with 2 other executives. "They falsified safety data," Tom said. "That's criminal." "I know," Sarah said. "And it's not just the drones from 4 years ago. Those same hydraulic systems are in 30 different aircraft models. Including the jet I was in." Tom felt sick. 30 models? Yes. Military drones, private jets, cargo planes. All of them could have the same flaw. "You need to ground them immediately," Tom said. "All of them." "I've already started the process," Sarah said. "But Tom, there's more. Look at this." She showed him another document. It was a maintenance report from the jet she had been flying in. Someone had signed off on a hydraulic inspection just 2 days before the crash. But according to the actual inspection records, that check was never done. Someone faked the inspection, Tom said. Yes. And I think I know who. Sarah pulled up a photo of a man. He was in his 60s, with gray hair and cold eyes. That's Martin Cross, Sarah said. He's been with the company for 25 years. He was the VP of operations when your wife died. He's the one who signed off on the falsified test results. Where is he now? Tom asked. He retired last year, Sarah said. With a very generous pension. But here's the interesting part. 3 weeks ago, he tried to buy a large number of company shares through a shell corporation. He was betting the stock would drop, Tom said, understanding. If you died in that crash, the company would be in chaos. The stock price would crash. He would make millions. Exactly, Sarah said. I think he sabotaged my plane. And I think he's been covering up safety problems for years to protect himself. Tom stood up. He walked to the window and looked out at the lake. What are you going to do? He asked. I'm going to the FBI, Sarah said. And the FAA. I'm giving them everything. But Tom, I need your help. You're the only person who saw these problems from the beginning. You're the only one who tried to stop it. I tried once before, Tom said bitterly. Nobody listened. I'm listening now, Sarah said. Please. Tom turned around. He looked at this woman who had lost nothing but was willing to risk everything. He thought about his wife. About all the other families who might lose someone if he stayed silent. Okay, he said. I'll testify. I'll tell them everything. Sarah's eyes filled with tears again. Thank you. The next 2 weeks were hard. Tom had to tell his story again and again. First to FBI agents, then to FAA investigators, then to lawyers. Meanwhile, the town found out who Tom really was. Reporters came to his house. They asked questions. They took pictures. Some people in town started treating Tom like a hero. Others avoided him. The owner of the garage where Tom worked told him to take some time off. It's not personal, his boss said. But customers are uncomfortable. All this attention. Jake had problems at school too. Some kids said mean things. They said Tom's family was trying to destroy Mitchell Technologies. They said Tom was lying for money. One night, Jake came home with a black eye. What happened? Tom asked, concerned. Tommy Wilson said you're a liar, Jake said quietly. He said his dad works for Mitchell Technologies and might lose his job because of you. So I punched him. Tom sighed. He sat down next to his son. Jake, I know this is hard. But what I'm doing is right. Sometimes doing the right thing makes people angry. But why do they blame us? Jake asked. You didn't do anything wrong. You tried to help people. I know, buddy. But people are scared. When they're scared, they look for someone to blame. Jake wiped his eyes. Are we going to be okay? Tom pulled his son close. Yes. We're going to be fine. I promise. But Tom wasn't sure he believed it himself. A week later, Sarah called. Tom, you need to see this. She came to his house with her laptop again. She showed him a news article. Martin Cross was arrested this morning, she said. The FBI has evidence he sabotaged my plane. And they found proof he's been covering up safety violations for over a decade. Tom read the article carefully. It said that Cross had paid a maintenance worker to skip safety checks and forge documents. He had also deleted emails and altered computer records to hide the hydraulic system problems. What about your father? Tom asked. He was involved too. Sarah's face fell. My father had a stroke 2 years ago. He's in a care facility now. He can't speak or remember things clearly. The prosecutors say he's not competent to stand trial. So he gets away with it, Tom said. No, Sarah said firmly. He doesn't. I'm making sure of that. She showed Tom another document. It was a press release. I'm donating $50 million to create a foundation, Sarah said. It will be dedicated to aerospace safety and supporting whistleblowers. And I'm naming it after your wife. The Lisa Parker Safety Foundation. Tom could not speak. He just stared at the document. You don't have to accept this, Sarah said quickly. If it's too painful, I'll understand. But I wanted to honor her memory. And I wanted to make sure other engineers like you have protection when they speak up. Tom's hands were shaking. She would have liked that, he said quietly. Sarah smiled. There's one more thing. Mitchell Technologies needs a new VP of Safety and Compliance. Someone who can't be bought. Someone who will always tell the truth, no matter what. I want you to take the job. Tom looked up, surprised. Sarah, I can't. You can, she said. You'd be perfect. And before you say no, let me tell you about it. The job is based here, not in the city. You can work from home most of the time. You'd only need to travel once or twice a month. Jake can stay in his school. You can keep your house by the lake. Why are you doing this? Tom asked. Because you saved my life twice, Sarah said. Once from drowning. And once from becoming like my father. You showed me that integrity matters more than profit. I want people like you in my company. I need people like you. Tom thought about it. He thought about going back to the work he used to love. About making sure other families didn't suffer like his did. Can I think about it? He asked. Take all the time you need, Sarah said. That night, Tom sat on his dock with Jake. They watched the sun set over the lake. Dad, are you going to take that job? Jake asked. I don't know. What do you think? Jake was quiet for a moment. I think Mom would want you to do it. She always said you were the smartest engineer she knew. And you could help people. Make things safer. Tom smiled. You're a smart kid, you know that. I get it from you, Jake said with a grin. Tom laughed. It felt good to laugh again. 2 months later, Tom Parker stood in a large conference room at Mitchell Technologies headquarters. He was wearing a suit, which felt strange after years of wearing mechanic's clothes. Sarah was at the front of the room with about 50 people. Engineers, managers, safety inspectors. Everyone, I want to introduce our new Vice President of Safety and Compliance, Tom Parker, Sarah said. Some people clapped. Others looked uncertain. Tom knew many of them remembered what happened 4 years ago. Some probably blamed him for the current investigations. But Sarah had prepared him for this. Thank you, Tom said. I know many of you are worried about your jobs. You're wondering if this company will survive. I want to be honest with you. The next year will be hard. We're grounding aircraft. We're redesigning systems. We're cooperating with federal investigations. The room was silent. But I believe this company can survive. More than that, I believe it can become better. Stronger. We can build aircraft that are truly safe. We can create a culture where engineers are rewarded for finding problems, not punished for reporting them. Tom paused. He looked around the room. 4 years ago, I tried to warn this company about a safety problem. I was ignored. My wife died because of that decision. I don't want that to happen to anyone else's family. So here's my promise to you, if you see something wrong, report it. I will listen. I will investigate. And I will act. One of the engineers raised her hand. What if fixing the problem is expensive? What if it hurts the company's profits? Then we fix it anyway, Tom said firmly. Because lives are more important than money. Always. More people started nodding. One older engineer stood up. I worked with Tom 4 years ago, the man said. He was right about the hydraulic systems. We should have listened to him then. I'm glad he's back. Others started clapping. Real applause this time. After the meeting, Tom and Sarah stood in her office. It was on the top floor with big windows overlooking the city. You did great, Sarah said. I was nervous, Tom admitted. You should be, Sarah said with a smile. You're taking on a huge job. But I know you can do it. Tom looked out the window. He thought about how much his life had changed in just 2 months. How one moment of diving into a lake had led to all of this. Sarah, can I ask you something? Of course. Do you ever regret it? Exposing your own father? Destroying your family's reputation? Sarah thought for a moment. No. Because it wasn't my father I was exposing. It was the lies. The corruption. My real father, the man he used to be, would have wanted the truth to come out. Tom nodded. He understood. Besides, Sarah said, I've learned that family isn't just blood. It's the people who stand by you. Who tell you the truth even when it's hard to hear. You're more family to me now than my father ever was. Tom smiled. Thanks, Sarah. That evening, Tom drove home to the lake. Jake was waiting on the porch. How was your first day? Jake asked. Good, Tom said. Different, but good. They walked down to the dock together. Tom's old fishing boat was still there, tied up and waiting. Can we still go fishing on weekends? Jake asked. Absolutely, Tom said. Some things don't change. They sat on the dock, their feet dangling over the water. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and pink. Dad? Yeah, buddy. I'm proud of you, Jake said. Tom put his arm around his son. I'm proud of you too. You've been so strong through all of this. Do you think Mom would be proud? Jake asked quietly. Tom felt tears in his eyes. I know she would be. She always wanted me to stand up for what's right. Even when it's hard. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the lake. In the distance, Tom could see the spot where Sarah's plane had crashed. The water was calm now. Peaceful. Tom thought about everything that had happened. How saving one life had led to exposing so much corruption. How telling the truth had been painful but necessary. How loss and grief could eventually transform into purpose and hope. You know what, Jake? Tom said. What? I think we're going to be okay. Better than okay. Jake smiled. Yeah, Dad. I think so too. As the sun disappeared below the horizon, Tom felt something he hadn't felt in years. Peace. Not the peace of hiding from the world, but the peace of knowing he was doing the right thing. The peace of honoring his wife's memory by fighting for what she believed in. The lake reflected the last light of day, shimmering and beautiful. Tom took a deep breath and smiled. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. But tonight, he had his son, his purpose, and a future that finally felt bright. The autumn leaves were falling around Clear Lake. The water was cool now, reflecting the orange and red colors of the trees. Tom stood on his dock, watching Jake practice casting his fishing line. The boy had grown taller in the past year. He was 9 now, more confident and happy. Tom's phone rang. It was Sarah. Tom, have you seen the news? She asked excitedly. No, what happened? Martin Cross was sentenced today. 20 years in federal prison. And the judge ordered him to pay $100 million in restitution to the victims' families. Tom felt a weight lift from his chest. That's good news. There's more, Sarah continued. The Lisa Parker Safety Foundation just received its largest donation ever. An anonymous donor gave $25 million. We can help so many more whistleblowers now. Tom smiled. Lisa would love that. After the call ended, Tom walked back to his house. It looked different now. He had repaired the roof and painted the walls. There were new solar panels on top. Sarah had insisted on helping with the renovations, calling it a workplace accommodation since he worked from home. Inside, the kitchen smelled like fresh bread. Tom had learned to bake in the past year. It was something he did on weekends with Jake. They had a routine now. Saturday mornings were for baking. Saturday afternoons were for fishing. Sundays were for whatever adventure they felt like having. The doorbell rang. Tom opened it to find Carl, his neighbor from the general store. "Hey Tom, just wanted to drop this off," Carl said, handing him a pie. "Apple, your favorite. Also, the town council wants to give you an award next month. Community Hero Award." Tom felt embarrassed. "Carl, that's not necessary." "Maybe not," Carl said with a grin. "But you earned it. You stood up when it mattered. People respect that now. Even the ones who doubted you at first." After Carl left, Tom thought about how much had changed. The town had been divided when the investigation started. Some people had supported Tom. Others had been angry, worried about their jobs at Mitchell Technologies. But now, things were different. The company hadn't collapsed like people feared. Instead, it had transformed. Sarah had brought in new leadership. She had created an independent safety board. She had given employees the power to report problems without fear. And it was working. In the past year, Mitchell Technologies had discovered and fixed 12 potential safety issues. 12 problems that could have killed people. But because engineers felt safe speaking up, those problems were solved before anyone got hurt. Tom's phone buzzed with a text message. It was from David Chen, one of the young engineers at the company. "Mr. Parker, thank you for today's meeting. You were right about the wing design. I'm submitting a formal report now. A year ago, I would have been too scared to do this. But you've shown us that honesty is rewarded here." Tom typed back, "That's exactly what we need. Good work, David." Jake came in from outside, his cheeks red from the cold air. "Dad, can we invite Sarah for Thanksgiving?" he asked. "She's been alone a lot since everything happened with her family." Tom felt proud of his son's kindness. "That's a great idea, buddy. I'll call her." That evening, Tom did call Sarah. She accepted the invitation immediately. Her voice sounded relieved, almost happy. "Tom, I need to tell you something," Sarah said. "I've been seeing a therapist. Dealing with everything about my father, the company, all of it. And she asked me who I'm most grateful for in my life." "What did you say?" "I said you. Because you didn't just save my life that day in the lake. You saved who I am. You reminded me that doing the right thing matters more than protecting a legacy or making money." Tom felt emotion rise in his throat. "Sarah, you saved me too. You gave me back my purpose. You let me honor Lisa's memory in a meaningful way." They talked for another hour. About the company's progress. About Jake's school. About the foundation's plans to expand. When Tom hung up, he felt grateful for the unexpected friendship that had grown from tragedy. Later that night, Tom tucked Jake into bed. The boy looked up at his father. "Dad, do you miss Mom less now? Or does it just hurt in a different way?" Tom sat on the edge of the bed. "I'll always miss her, buddy. But now the sadness feels different. It feels like love instead of just pain. Because everything we're doing, all the lives we're saving, that's for her. That's her legacy." Jake nodded. "I think I understand. It's like she's still helping people, even though she's gone. Exactly, Tom said, kissing his son's forehead. Now get some sleep. Tom walked back to his own room. On the dresser was a framed photo of Lisa. She was smiling, holding baby Jake in her arms. Tom picked up the photo and looked at it. "We did it, Lisa," he whispered. "We made things right. And I promise I'll keep fighting. For you. For Jake. For everyone." He set the photo down gently and walked to the window. The lake was dark now, lit only by moonlight. In the distance, he could see the lights from town. Somewhere out there, engineers were working late, building safer aircraft. Families were sleeping peacefully, not knowing that people like Tom were watching over them. Tom thought about the journey of the past year. How one act of courage had rippled outward, changing so many lives. How choosing truth over silence had been painful but necessary. How redemption wasn't about forgetting the past, but about building a better future. He remembered the moment he had dove into the lake to save Sarah. He hadn't known who she was. He hadn't known it would change his life. He had just seen someone who needed help, and he had helped them. Sometimes, Tom realized, the most important decisions we make are the simple ones. The choice to help instead of ignore. To speak instead of stay silent. To stand up instead of walk away. And sometimes those simple choices change everything. Tom climbed into bed and closed his eyes. Tomorrow he had a video conference with the FAA. Next week he was flying to Washington to testify before Congress about aviation safety reform. The month after that, the Lisa Parker Safety Foundation was opening its first regional office. There was so much work to do. So many problems to solve. But for the first time in years, Tom felt ready. He had his son. He had his purpose. He had friends who believed in the same things he did. As he drifted off to sleep, Tom smiled. Life had taken him through darkness and brought him back to light. The journey wasn't over. But he was no longer traveling alone. And that made all the difference.